Do you ever travel without a plan and just let the travel gods pull you one way or another for a day? Do you ever get big-headed diabetically and then have pizza burst your bubble? Then you'll relate to this video from Kraków. Hi, I'm Jeremy. Thanks for watching. After seeing Auschwitz yesterday, Masayo and I wanted to take it easier today and relax in the lovely city of Kraków. By having no plan and no particular destination, we were open to the whims of the travel gods. And we were rewarded, since we ended up wandering around the Jewish quarter of the city, surrounded by Hebrew signs, klezmer music floating softly from doorways, and perfect cobblestone streets coated with a slight drizzle that reflected the comforting gray sky. We considered visiting a World Heritage salt mine not far from Kraków, but the website made them seem really touristy, so we opted to remain in the city and just walk. My morning reading was 146. I know traveling through Europe offers opportunities for fascinating and world-class meals, but to be honest, when you're going for 3 or 4 months on a budget, you tend to shy away from the nicer things. Well, today we did it right at a place called the Castor Coffee Club. Muesli yogurt, ham and cheese croissant, and coffee. Not just any old coffee, but aeropressed Ethiopian coffee. When Starbucks introduced the masses to coffee culture in the 90s, I wasn't paying attention, so I don't know what aeropressed means. It was good though, sitting at a counter by a large window, chowing down on a real repast, and watching the people and the pigeons in the old town square outside. Speaking of that, pigeons are the real rulers of Krakow's town square. They strut around, stare you down, and mug for the camera. I got preoccupied with them for a while, crouching and lying down to take their photos. They proved willing subjects. We watched teams of people getting the town ready for Christmas, and then the aimless wandering. First we went to the Florian Gate, where 2 guys in full period garb played medieval music. There was a festive vibe in the air, and a touristy one, although there weren't that many tourists. What struck me most was how different a spot this seemed from all that we'd seen before in Kraków, yet it's just another part of the town square. There's something unexpected around every corner here. Next was the Barbican, once an important gate leading to Kraków. It was built in 1498, but is already closed for the season this year. Across the street we found a vibrant little market with a cool name, Stary Kleparz. Masayo and I both bought pairs of socks. I did another quick blood sugar check, 194. Not too bad for a walking day. Here the pigeons were less impressed with my videographic aspirations. But you're never alone for long in Kraków. The little guys always come back. Then it was on to the Jewish Quarter. Having had our souls flattened by our visit to the Nazi death camp yesterday, it was great to see a flourishing and friendly place so full of strength and life. There weren't that many people on the streets, thanks to the chilly, light rain, but the Jewish Quarter was still a remarkable place to be. There is a palpable sense of pride and culture in the Hebrew carvings, the Star of David emblems, and the little shops that welcome you but don't cater to you. We dropped into a bookstore and each bought books about World War II. The last few days of this trip have made us both realize that we have much to learn about it. Mine cost almost $30, an unheard of expense. But it's nice to have something to read on trains and buses, especially something that explains the history of the immediate surroundings. On a quiet back street we found a big Jewish cemetery, open unlike the one in Warsaw. It had been destroyed in the war, but is now rebuilt, and new graves are being added. A proper Jewish graveyard, dignified and well looked after, in the mist, under tall wintry trees and green lichen. It was a heartwarming and necessary counterpoint to yesterday. That said, there is still a long way to go before the world is right. We wanted to go to Oskar Schindler's ceramics factory nearby, but on the way it was getting darker, and I reasoned that I've never even seen Schindler's List, so the context probably would escape me. We headed back to town and found a cafe for a snack. My blood sugar was 196. As long as it's under 200, it's psychologically satisfying at least. So we sat in the warm and cheerful shop, had cake and coffee, and watched the people in cars struggle through the gray rain outside. The rest of the afternoon was spent in the hostel where I processed trip photos and updated 7130.com. It was an unremarkable 3 hours, except for the fact that someone in some room in the hostel was playing an acoustic guitar. But they weren't playing music, just strumming open strings with no rhythm and apparently no purpose. And it went on for 3 whole hours. We couldn't conceive of any explanation at all. A little kid, a mischievous cat, a drug addict, all possible. But for 3 hours? Hostel life, never boring. We never did find out what was going on with the catatonic guitar. Maybe Jandek was in the room working on another one of his lovely pop hits. Dinner, before which I was an entirely acceptable 156, was going to be pizza by the slice again, from the same place we went on our first night here. Now on that night my blood sugar had behaved, so I figured that, although it's thick, maybe this pizza is less dense in carbs for some reason. For that, and despite the fact that I was having cookies too, I took a smallish shot. After all, my readings had been pretty decent all day. I was sure it would continue, right? Afterwards, diabetic reality punched me in the gut. 359. That's what I get. Thick pizza and a little Humalog. Duh. But that didn't change the overall charm of our final day in Kraków. The medieval merriment of Old Town and the absorbing Jewish Quarter were excellent companions on a day of wandering. And now, having fallen in love with the city, it's time for us to move on. Good thing and a bad thing. I must say I dug this big green statue outside our hostel in Old Town. I haven't really talked much about him, but he was always there, saluting us in the morning and watching over my street-lit blood sugar checks in the evening. What I didn't care for was the McDonald's and trash heap beside the otherwise mesmerizing Florian Gate. It's the little things, Kraków. Diabetes thoughts. Today's average was bad, 210. The trip average is 194. More than anything, the evening time highs are killing my numbers. How's this for traveling by the seat of your pants? We decided just tonight to leave Poland tomorrow morning, since our budget for this country is exhausted and time marches on. We're going into the Czech Republic, a sudden international border crossing. Whee!